Very happy to welcome this guy back for another visit. We chatted previously in 2019, then again in 2022, and now with the Hooters celebrating their 45th anniversary, believe it or not, it's the perfect time to do it again. A chat with the fantastic drummer from not only the Hooters, but also Smash Palace, QDK, the Bar Band, and the great Philly music project In the Pocket. David Uosikkinen. Dave, how are you?
Chet, I couldn't be better. I'm doing great. I was down the shore for a couple of days and just doing nothing. I ate a lot and I read a lot, and it's just setting me up to go on the road. Like as you mentioned, the Hooters celebrating the 45th anniversary, and we're leaving on Saturday for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
The usual stops, but we're playing. We've never played in Greece, so we're playing a show in Athens, which has got me pretty excited about doing that. There we are.
Good looking bunch of humans right there.
Yeah, we're still hanging in there,
I saw you in the Hooters once again just about a month ago at the Met, your first time there, coincidentally. And I got to tell you, it was as good or maybe even better than the previous 5 times I've seen you guys. And not only is the talent still totally there with the band, it's obvious that you guys are still having a blast doing it.
Yeah, that was a really good show. I mean, I think part of it was I've been to the Met to see. I saw Crowded House at the Met a couple of years ago, and but I didn't. I was in the audience, and I didn't go backstage or anything. But the Met is such an amazing one. The theater, I think, was built in 1908. Beautiful balconies. It's just an astonishing place. So being on that stage for all of us was just. We play a lot of different stages, but that was like really exciting. We had Jay and Mike Bone and Mike Cappy with us on the horn section, and it was a great night. It was fun, and I think a lot of had to do with just playing the Met, and we had a great crowd. It was nearly sold out, so it was a terrific night for us.
Well, as I mentioned, it's been 45 years now for the band. Rob and Eric started the Hooters in 1980. The first album, Amore, came out a few years later. You probably told us 6 years ago, but I don't remember if you did. How did you end up as the drummer?
When I joined up with those guys, they were with a band called They started a band called Baby Grand with someone else. And I think it was a successful band, but they almost had like a prog thing going on with that band. I mean, I remember like having a conversation with Eric back in 1980, and he said, I want to write hit songs. And, when somebody says that to you, going, yeah, right. How do you do that? But he wasn't kidding, it was weird. Like they really had we all were inspired by ska music. Now, and getting back to how I ended up playing with them, in 1980, they invited me to come record some demos with them, which I did. And I never left.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
I mean, I remember I recorded 4 songs with them. And, I remember packing up my gear and thinking, man, I'll never see these guys again. And they called me back to come back and play. And at that time, I was playing with a band called Hot Property. The bass player and the guitar player in that band were really great, John Kuzma and Bobby Woods. And after they played with me, they invited those 2 guys to come play. They called the band the Hooters, and here we are 45 years later. And rest in peace to both those guys I mentioned aren't even with us anymore. But literally, they're not with us. But they were amazing, and the band, here we are. We're going on tour, and we're still making records. We just put out a single called Pendulum that we're really excited about. We have a double live record that's coming out, and like I said, we look like you saw that we were having fun up there. So the whole process, still to a man in the band, is something we all really enjoy. That hasn't changed since I started playing with those guys 45 years ago.
Dave, I know I never asked you this before, but even before the first record came out, the Hooters were picked to open up a show at good old JFK Stadium in September of 1982, a show headlined by The Who that also featured Santana and The Clash.
Yeah.
You were in your mid-20s at the time, and we do have a picture that your friend sent you. Any memories about being there on the bill with these legendary acts? Wow.
Yeah. Well, you can't see this. I'm on the drums there, and sitting behind me, my drum tech was to my right, and Carlos Santana was sitting to my left. He sat there the whole show and watched us play because we were doing, the guy, I mean, of course, he's got the Latin, clave influence. And my band, the Hooters were playing a lot of ska reggae, and he was really into it. But he didn't leave. I mean, we only played about, at best, a half hour. He sat the whole time behind me. Now, listen, it was a bit intimidating, but at the same time, it gave me juice. Opening for the Who and the Clash. And I remember watching Joe Strummer get his hair cut. Forget the guy's name there.
Yeah.
Cut his hair, but he got the mohawk before he went up and played. And we played that day. I think we went on stage around, you could see it, I think around 11:30. We stuck around, and the Santana played after us, and then the Clash. And then we had to leave because we had another show in Richmond, Virginia, which was a 5-hour drive. We were leaving in the van, and I was sitting on the cases watching the Who walk on stage to do their show. I never seen him play that day. It was an exciting day. Oh, hung out with Mick Jagger that day too.
There you go, right there.
With Mick, yeah. Well, Mick came as a guest. He's obviously, great friends with Pete Townsend. And I remember Larry Maggot came backstage with Mick Jagger and his daughter Jade. It was about 10 a.m. in the morning. And, like seeing Mick Jagger up close, it was like you're looking at a cartoon character. It was just amazing. I'm a big Stones fan. So it was pretty mind blowing. And if you look at the picture good enough, you see me having a Heineken in the morning, which I don't do anymore. But it was 9:30 and I was having a beer. Yeah, I have a Heineken in my hand.
That is very cool.
Nervous a little bit, but it was the coolest thing hanging around. And Mick couldn't have been nicer. And
here we are in 2025. And as you said, you guys are still putting out new music. The album Rocking and Swing 2 years ago, the new single that you mentioned, Pendulum, just last month, which you premiered at that show at the Met.
Tally ho! And we dance if we don't tally ho! And we dance if we do tally ho! Yeah, whatever it brings, the pendulum swings for me and for you.
By the way, that is your friend and mine, Willie Nile, on stage with you guys. He, of course, co-wrote Pendulum with Rob and Eric. I'm a big fan of Willie. You got to love him. And I'm sure it's fun to play new music now, too.
Yeah, that one was really new, too, because we just recorded it. Other than the feel of the song, I had to learn the parts of the song that day. So somehow pulling it up. But playing with Willie, as you mentioned, Willie is he's just such a mensch. There's no other way to put it. He's just the sweetest guy, and he's so talented, and he's got so much juice that it's just great to get on stage with him, hang out with him before the show. And he's just an ultimate performer still. And so it was really exciting. That even made the night even better for us.
Yeah. Well, Dave, not only are the Hooters celebrating an anniversary, so too is your In the Pocket project. You began that, a celebration of Philly music 15 years ago, and we'll celebrate that milestone with a show at Ardmore Music Hall in late September. Man, lots of talent to be on the stage over the course of the evening. For folks who don't know, tell them about In the Pocket.
In the Pocket project is basically something my wife Dallin and I thought of when I moved back here about 15 years ago, a little over 15 years ago. The Hooters were touring, but we weren't a year-round band anymore. We'd go away in the summer, maybe do some dates in the fall, and there would be some dates we would do. But it wasn't like the old days where I'd be living out a suitcase. So as a full-time musician, I was looking for something to do. And when I moved back to Philadelphia, it was so different from the time, because I lived in the Southern California for 20 years. When I came back here, Philly seemed like a different place. It was after the Phillies won their World Series in 2008. And, there was a whole different vibe there. And I started thinking about how Philly music inspired me as a musician. And because it's such a melting pot of sounds and styles. And that's what makes Philly so cool. Philly International, the Philadelphia Folk Festival, the jazz that came out of this, and then the rock and roll too. So I wanted to honor the songs that made me who I become. So I used to write about music for a music technology company I was working for. And I called it In the Pocket. My friend Guy Eckstein actually coined that name. And I just kind of moved it over and started recording these songs, essential songs of Philadelphia picked by me. And, different genres. We did punk rock girl. We did Backstabbers. We did songs by Todd Rundgren. It's that kind of thing. I tried to record The Twist recently, but Chubby wasn't having it. It was the first time I had anybody that I wanted to honor that was like, not now.
Wow.
Well, it was weird. Listen, man, I understand sometimes, but at some point, you know, I'd like to honor that guy because of what he's did for rock and roll in Philadelphia. You know.
Hey, by the way, one of the many talented, ridiculously talented guys that's part of both In the Pocket and your bar band is Kenny Aaronson, bass player extraordinaire, who, if all goes well, I'm going to be interviewing later this summer. Give our viewers 20 or 30 seconds on Kenny Aaronson. Talk about rock and roll resume right there.
Well, he's really a legend. When I heard that he moved into the area, I was like, I got to meet this guy. And then we became fast friends. And then I invited him to be a part of In the Pocket. But listen, you know, he played with Derringer. Rick Derringer's passed away, but I knew him first from playing with Rick Derringer in the band Derringer. But, you know, the guy played with Bob Dylan. He played with Billy Idol, Sammy Hagar, Joan Jett. He was a Blackheart. He's done so much. And he's not only a great bass player, but he's a great pedal steel player. He's a great producer. He plays with me and Quentin Jones and Kenny in a band called QDK, which we're working on Quentin's record right now. It's been a lot of fun. And Kenny is, you know, in 1980, Rolling Stone voted him the best bass player in rock and roll. You know,
wow,
that's quite an honor, and he lives up to that. He's brilliant.
He sure is. Hey, before the ITP show, as you mentioned, you and your fellow Hooters in the next few days, in fact, will be heading to Europe for a summer tour, a bunch of shows in Germany. You got a couple each in Switzerland and Sweden. And as you mentioned, your first ever show in Athens, Greece, a 6-week, 29 show tour. You ready for that, Dave?
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready. I mean, listen, I'm doing my push-ups. I'm getting myself ready. You know, I guess it's a full-time gig, so I'm always playing. So I feel good going out there to play. And with those guys, since I haven't seen them in a bit, it's going to be a nice ride. Before I know it, it'll be over. But yeah, and going to Athens is going to be a total gas. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know how it came up, Dave, but when I saw you at 118 North for the bar band show, we were talking a little bit afterward, and you were mentioning how sad it was that a lot of rock and roll greats were leaving us. And then just last week, we got the word that both Brian Wilson and Sly Stone had passed, man. Couple of legends right there.
Two of my favorites too. You know, I mean, yeah, I grew up, you know, the Beatles and the Beach Boys and the Stones and the, you know, Pet Sounds was just such an amazing record. And Sly Stone was just so influential on me as a drummer from listening to the early Sly records that was like no one played funk or his brand of funk. And he was a real visionary in music, a songwriter that it's timeless when you hear Sly and the Family Stone songs. You hear them, it's like timeless funk. And he was the originator of that, and everybody in that band were just amazing. So losing him and Brian Wilson the same week, you know, lately because I'm turning 70 this year, and like it seems like every week I get news about somebody going.
I hear
it's
you.
not fun, you know. So I'm having a ball. You know, it's like I'm excited about the tour. When I get back from the tour, I'm excited to go to Eagles training camp. I'm excited about that. You know, our world champion Philadelphia Eagles. And it's a great time to be in Philadelphia for sure.
Well, funny thing you mentioned that was going to be my last thing. As a long-suffering Philadelphia sports fan like me, how does it feel to be able to call the Eagles Super Bowl champions for a second time in 8 seasons?
I mean, how about that? Isn't that amazing? And the thing about it is like every year they've been in the mix. I mean, they could have won that. Listen, I got my theories, but we should have 3.
I know.
Well, listen, but they don't. So listen, I'm not going to be a jerk about it, but I bleed green, and I'm really excited about the team this year. You know, we lost some key components, but I think that there's so much talent on the team, and they all seem focused. And if we don't get there this year, we'll get there the following year. Jeffrey Lurie is a great owner. Howie's a great GM. We got a great coach, even though he drives me nuts sometimes. He seems to understand the culture and bring the culture to the Eagles. So it's great. And watching Saquon and Jalen and all the Jalens, and it's amazing, right? Wow.
Yes, sir.
We're-
And
we're-
hopefully we have another Phillies World Series too. Wouldn't that be
Yeah,
great?
wouldn't that be nice? That'd be nice. Great.
Dave, if we stay on schedule, we're going to have another chat like this in 2028. I think we're on
Yes.
the every 3 year schedule.
Yeah, I mean, Chet, I love spending time with you. I love seeing you at shows. I love to hang out with you. You're a sports guy and you love music. And when I found out you're a fan of Willie's, I went, he really, you're a real music fan. So it's cool to hang with you, man.
I've seen Willie 31 times. Not that I'm counting, but yeah,
You know,
31.
I went to Sweden with Willie maybe about 25 years ago to do a benefit in Insurance-Vic. And I might have, Peter Tork. And it was the dead of winter in Sweden, right on the border of Finland. And going back and looking on that, it was like one of the greatest weekends I've ever had in my life. And Willie was a part of that. And it was cool. A lot of laughs.
Well, have a great time in Europe and enjoy the rest of your summer otherwise. And I'll see you in Ardmore in September.
See you then. Thanks, everybody. Go Birds. Go Birds.